Hello everybody! If you want to read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short Story 313, The Lost Recipe, Intermediate. Elena stared at the faded, handwritten recipe in her hand, her brow furrowed in concentration. The ink, once vibrant, had faded to a pale brown, the words barely visible. This was her grandmother's famous Torta di Limone, a lemon cake that had been a family tradition for generations. Elena had been tasked with making the cake for her sister's wedding, a responsibility she felt deeply. The cake was more than just a dessert. It was a symbol of her family's love, shared through generations. However, time and neglect had taken their toll on the recipe. How can I possibly make this with these smudged, barely legible instructions? Elena sighed, a frustrated frown creasing her forehead. She had tried numerous times to decipher the recipe, but the faded ink in her grandmother's idiosyncratic handwriting were a formidable challenge. She had been working on it for weeks, painstakingly comparing each word with other, more modern recipes, hoping to fill in the gaps. She was determined to make the cake, but the pressure was mounting. The wedding was only a few weeks away. Elena called her mother, hoping for some insight. "Mom, I'm stuck. The recipe is so old, I can't make any sense of it." "Oh, honey," her mother said, her voice a comforting present. "Your grandmother's recipe, it's like a treasure map. It's not about following it perfectly, but about understanding the spirit of the recipe." Elena's frustration melted slightly. She remembered her grandmother's kitchen, the aroma of citrus and warm spices, the comforting hum of the oven. She remembered her grandmother's infectious laughter, her playful spirit. "What do you mean, Mom?" Elena asked, a spark of hope flickering. "It's about the love that went into it, the way it was made, the moment shared," her mother explained. "It's about the essence of the recipe, not just the exact measurements." The words resonated with Elena. She decided to approach the recipe differently. Instead of focusing on the faded ink, she would concentrate on the essence of the cake, the flavors she remembered, the textures she craved. She started by researching traditional Italian lemon cake recipes. She read about the different types of lemons, their zest, their juice. She learned about the importance of the baking temperature, the subtle interplay between sweetness and acidity. With each new bit of information, Elena felt a confidence growing. She began to understand her grandmother's recipe, not as a set of rigid instructions, but as a guide, a starting point for her own creative exploration. She experimented with different types of lemons, testing the acidity, the scent, the zest. She played with the amount of sugar, trying to achieve the delicate balance of sweetness and tartness. She even tried adding a touch of honey, as her grandmother used to do, for a hint of floral sweetness. Each experiment was a new learning experience. Elena wasn't just following a recipe, she was creating a connection with her grandmother, a conversation across generations, a shared legacy of love and culinary passion. Finally, the day of the wedding arrived. Elena, with a mixture of nervousness and excitement, brought the cake to the wedding hall. As she placed the delicate, beautifully decorated cake on the table, a hush fell over the crowd. Then a gasp went around the room. The cake, a masterpiece of golden hues and delicate lemon glaze, looked exactly like the cake Elena remembered from her childhood, from her grandmother's kitchen. She had recreated the Torta di Limone, not just by following a recipe, but by capturing the essence of her grandmother's love and passion. The cake was a testament to the power of family, the enduring legacy of tradition, and the magic that happens when you let the heart guide your culinary journey. As the guests savoured the cake, Elena, her heart full, smiled at her grandmother's portrait on the wall. The faded recipe, now a cherished heirloom, sat on the table, a reminder of the journey she had taken, the memories she had awakened, and the legacy she had carried forward. Vocabulary notes. Faded, adjective, lost in colour or intensity. Example from the story. The ink, once vibrant, had faded to a pale brown, the words barely visible. Similar words. Dim, pale, bleached, washed out. Idiosyncratic, adjective, peculiar or unique to a particular person or thing. Example from the story. Her grandmother's idiosyncratic handwriting were a formidable challenge. Similar words. Unconventional, peculiar, eccentric, quirky. Formidable, adjective, inspiring fear or respect through being impressively large, powerful or intense. Example from the story. Her grandmother's idiosyncratic handwriting were a formidable challenge. Similar words. Intimidating, daunting, challenging, difficult. Melting, verb, to gradually disappear, soften or lessen. Example from the story. Elena's frustration melted slightly. Similar words. Decrease, dissipate, fade, diminish. Infectious, adjective, likely to spread to others. Example from the story. She remembered her grandmother's infectious laughter. Similar words. Contagious, catching, spreading, transmittable. Resonated, verb, to evoke a strong feeling or response. Example from the story. The words resonated with Elena. Similar words. Echo, reverberate, vibrate, vibrate with. Delicate, adjective, fine and intricate in structure, fragile. Example from the story. She played with the amount of sugar, trying to achieve the delicate balance of sweetness and tartness. Similar words. Fragile, fine, refined, subtle. Masterpiece, noun, a great work of art. Example from the story. The cake, a masterpiece of golden hues and delicate lemon glaze, looked exactly like the cake Elena remembered from her childhood. Similar words. Triumph, triumph of art, work of genius, magnum opus. Savoured, verb, to take pleasure in a taste or experience. Example from the story. As the guests savoured the cake, Elena, her heart full, smiled at her grandmother's portrait on the wall. Similar words. Relish, enjoy, appreciate, delight in. Cherished, adjective, loved and protected. Example from the story. The faded recipe, now a cherished heirloom, sat on the table. Similar words. Precious, treasured, valuable, prized. Story written by Google Gemini AI. Image created by Designer AI. To read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you.
Hello, this is Steve. If you enjoyed the story, please would you take the time to leave a meaningful comment and click on the like icon. If you want to know when the next story has been uploaded, please click on the notify bell icon to be notified. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tell your English learning friends so they can benefit too. Thank you.